Hi, this is N2EHG. I'm making a video at request of my friends. They wanted to see what my shack was like. Some of them are far and can't really come for a visit. So I thought I would start with a brief station tour of my main operating position. Over here on the wall I have a few alpha delta coax switches. They allow me to switch multiple antennas to multiple radios. I'll just pan around over here and sort of begin the tour. Up on top we have an Array Solutions rat pack. Normally it's used outside to switch multiple antennas from the shack. I'm using it to switch multiple radios with the alpha delta switches in a kind of a temporary matrix I put together. In fact, this whole shack is kind of thrown together kind of quick. So hopefully it will evolve over time and be a little better. This is an Acom 1000 linear. It's a really great linear, has pretty much all the HF bands, 6 meters, and it has a tuning aid which makes tuning pretty quick on this and pretty easy. Up on top here I have a DX Engineering switch control unit that allows my beverage to reverse directions. Next to it I have a relatively inexpensive Radio Shack AB switch box, which is allowing me to switch from the equivalent of a third beverage that I have in yet a different direction. And that particular beverage, although you can't see it in the picture, is made by Array Solutions. They all work quite well. In the middle of these two monitors I have a MicroHam MicroKeyer 2, and that's a great interface between my radio and my computers. It does a lot of really cool things. Up on top on the left, that main monitor is connected to the radio, which I'll show you in a minute. And the monitor on the right is a second monitor for my computer. It's a dual head system. And that, if I could zoom in a little bit, not sure if you could see it, but is MacLogger DX. And it allows me to, amongst other things, keep my log, control my radio, and watch the DX clusters. My main radio here is a Yaesu Ft Dx-9000mp. It's a very nice radio. I'll see if I can get a little closer. Right now I'm listening on 20 meters. Band's kind of quiet. The radio probably has more knobs than any other radio that I know of. And it works great. And this is the matching speaker unit and power supply that comes with it. It also has some filters in it. They come in handy. I have a Big Alley key. And the interesting thing about the MicroHam keyer that I showed before is works with this little remote keypad for shortcuts. Yaesu also has a remote keypad for shortcuts. Works great. This is the main computer. It's a Macintosh. I have a mouse and a trackpad you could see in the picture. I have a remote temperature monitor. Keeps me informed temperature inside the shack and out. Here's a Array Solutions watt meter. This is a really great watt meter. It's very fast and very accurate. It's a lot of fun. Down here I have, I'll just show one, but I have a Astron power supply. I have several of those tied together. Small backup UPS and some 2 meter and 440 cavity type filters I used for the satellite work. Over here I have my radio. I guess I'll call this in position 2. It's a Kenwood TS02000. It's a great radio. I use this primarily for satellite work. Beneath that I have the controller, the Yaesu G5500. I also have the LVB tracker, which allows me to interface that rotor to my computer, and it works really great. The Kenwood T2000X is a really nice radio. I've had it for a while. Does a good job on satellites and works pretty good on HF. Over here on the wall, might be a little hard to see, but I have another matrix of my beverage controllers, my GPS satellite distribution feed, some DC power distribution feed, as well as voltage monitoring equipment, and battery backup. I also have some strain reliefs, and speakers, industrial optically isolated heavy-duty, more commercial type USB connections that are filtered just to make sure I keep the shack RF quiet. I have another Macintosh here. This is primarily used with this satellite radio, and I'm running MacDoppler almost on this as a dedicated computer for satellite use. And lastly, beneath that, I'm using a wave node combination SWR power watt meter type of unit. The interesting thing about this unit is the SWR coupling sensor units also have a jack on it that I could hook into my oscilloscope, and it functions as a monitor, and that's very nice. Over here, down beneath the shack, I have my Hewlett-Packard Z3801 GPS time base. Comes in handy for good reference. I have a Durance power disturbance analyzer. Allows me to check my line voltage, both AC and DC, for various types of anomalies, and it will keep a database, kind of a short database, a long-term record. So if during the night there are any disruptions in frequency or voltage or harmonic noise, etc., etc., it'll allow me to keep tabs on that. Let's pan over a little bit to the right side. Over here, sort of one of my workbenches. I have some test equipment here. I have a WaveTech signal generator, Hewlett-Packard 4-wire voltmeter, and a Fluke frequency counter with a extended oscillator in there, so I have multi-digits, and a nice Textronics oscilloscope. All of these units are tied together to my 10 megahertz GPS reference clock. This way I know I'm getting a fairly accurate reading. Also, all these units are also sent away for third-party calibration. I want to make sure that everything I test is about as accurate as reasonable. Hope you've enjoyed this brief tour. Station's a real work in progress. Hope you excuse the mess, and hope the next video will be a little sharper.